I think it's time for episode 2 of Mr. Egg's Pattaya podcast. As you know, I am Mr. Egg, and welcome. Thank you for all the lovely messages that you sent me about the first episode with Balloon Chaser. That was very nice. He's got vaccinated and he's doing all right. We've got a special guest, as we always do on the podcast. You've seen him already meandering down soy. Was it soy 7?
We did. Was
it soy 8?
We did soy 8, and with the great success of walking down bars which are basically empty, closed down and derelict, we thought we'd follow it up with a brilliant sequel called Walking Street. It's also closed.
but nice, happy memories. Nice, happy memories.
Happy memories.
For those people that don't know, this is Mark Flack. Who is been here in Pattaya for ages. How long have you been here, Mark? I forget.
I think it's 8 years now.
Oh, okay.
I think living here 8 years, but visiting for over 20, and you know, online for I was one of the first people, I think, on sort of like on the, well, not one of the first, but I've been on the forum. It seems like a long time, but about 20 years. But I was on the forums before as well.
So the first forum was Pattaya Talk.
Yeah, Pattaya Talk.
Yeah,
it was Martin
yeah,
from.
God bless him.
Yeah, but I.
But before that, it was Pattaya Pete.
It was Pattaya Pete.
Was you around in the Pattaya Pete days?
I think Martin had only just taken over the FLB. I mean, we always go back, don't we, when we're talking about forums and stuff to FLB. But yeah, I kind of I do remember vaguely Ben being in FLB bar and trying to convince me to do a party. So I presume that was the Pattaya Pete days, because he left soon afterwards to
Ben is the manager who left FLB, which was a party bar on Walking Street, which we've mentioned in the walk around. I mean, famous really for so many things, and then that Ben then left and set up Secrets, and that was a massive success. And
it was huge.
Do you think that those? See, I've got this thing right now. I think this is the golden age. Yeah. The golden age of Pattaya. This sounds terrible. There's no tourists here.
Yeah.
There's still a few girls. If you've got a bit of money in your back pocket, which I haven't, and I know that you are in a very steady relationship and you wouldn't do this, but let's just pretend that the Flack is a single man. He's over here, he's got a bit of a wedge in his back pocket. This is the golden age, surely.
Do you know what, honestly, I think probably most people would say, yeah, because you're out there and like there's nobody here. But I think there's one thing that you're missing.
Atmosphere.
There's no atmosphere here at the moment, is there? Because all the bars are closed, okay? Part of the buzz, as it were, and when I do speak to guys, you know, they would turn around and say that half the fun is going out on the, as they would call it, on the hunt. I mean, let's be honest, right? I've never understood how they could go, yeah, I'm going out. I mean, talk about shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, the reality is, if going out on the hunt is walking into a go-go bar with 20 grand on you, I can tell you that you are going to be. I mean, it's not illegal, but when they talk about canned hunting and it takes away the skill level, I mean, if you want to go out on the hunt and test your skills, head into iBar, don't have a penny on you. If you can get the girls to buy you drinks and end up in a romantic relationship afterwards.
I love it when guys come in the bar and they say, I went to iBar last night and I pulled a real stunner.
Great looking girl, absolutely.
I mean, look, I don't know, it's just, guys love that. It's being young again, isn't it? That's the whole thing about what everybody loves Pattaya.
But how many times have you ever... I mean, like, I've had this living out here
all the time. My girls are totally different.
No, but here's the bad one, right? When like your mate turns up at a bar or whatever, and he gives a big story like, oh yeah, do you know what? I've just met her, blah blah blah, and you think, my God, I've seen her with about 40. Before she's been through half of the Pattaya United football team, you know. And you know, at the end of the day, you know, she's the nicest, she's the sweetest. And by the way, I'm not turning around and saying like that they're all bad, but I mean, you have to. I think it would be fair to judge them by individual cases, and if you met her swinging off a pole, then the likelihood is that somebody else has found her just as attractive as you have.
Yeah, but it's just a like I said, it's the fantasy of when you were 18, going down the local disco and pulling a bird. It's that, like, I always think it's a second chance. It's just, you get to live your teens again, really, or your early 20s or whatever when you're down there.
Do you know what? My standard, one of my chat lines.
When you're in Shepherd's Bush.
I told a girl that I was a salesman for Rolls-Royce. I had a company car. I remember it was in the days where you actually had to phone them. And it was on the Sunday I phoned her up and she went, so you don't really have a company car, Rolls-Royce? I went, no. That was the end of that. I think that's when I started looking for flights for Pattaya. Sorry, excuse me.
So the Flacky secret weapon was basically lie to any attractive woman that you came in contact with.
I think that's why I can get on so well with some of the girls out here in my early days. It was, they were full of shit, and so was I.
So coming back to now,
yeah,
I am still of the opinion that now is, if you're single, you've got a bit of cash, now is the golden era, because I do think when the bars open, and by the way, everyone that is listening to this podcast is probably going to be in the UK, in America, in Australia, waiting to come back.
Yeah.
So we've got to remember what our audience is. But as soon as they come, there's going to be Chinese tourists everywhere, the roads are going to be blocked, we're all going to be moaning that there's no girls in the bars because they're all out with all the people that are listening to this podcast, and there's none left for us, you know. All of a sudden my handsomeness seems to have shriveled up. Don't you think that's going to be in the case? 3 or 4 months' time we're all going to be going, it was really good during COVID.
Yeah, but I think some of the bar owners, and not you, have got selective amnesia, because before COVID it had been a terrible, for a lot of the businesses out here, it had been an absolutely disastrous high season. And yeah, that we had tourists in town, and sure, but it was a situation where on Walking Street you could walk into a go-go bar in December, in January, and be the only customer sat in there. Yeah, you know what's happened is, of course, the bars have been forced to close, and we're in a. Listen, they say it's COVID restrictions. We're locked down in terms of the entertainment industry is locked down. They can't open, right? We know that. And a lot of bars are going to close. They're not going to make it. We already know that. But that was the case before COVID as well. Bars and businesses were going out of business.
Yeah, I certainly think, 2019 for me wasn't, I didn't make as much as I did 2018. 2018 was my bumper year. Yeah. But I had just started to turn the corner, actually. Funnily enough, February of 2020 was a really good month for me, and and it was up on the year before, and I was really going for it. I know there was an extra day. There was an extra day in the month, but
I think you're the exception rather than the rule. You're my friend, but the reality is, Phil, that you've worked out in this town for a long time. Yeah. Nobody's really got a bad word to say about you. You run a good business. You speak fluent Thai. And the reality is, you were networking before you even knew you were networking by just being on the forums all those years ago. Yeah. Therefore, you know an awful lot of people. And when you set up a bar and a business, if you've got that head start, you know that you've already got customers that are going to come in and say hello. And I know you're very grateful for all the customers, and you've never forgotten that in terms of your support. No, but let's not be too positive, Phil. If you make it through this, we nearly lost you 2 weeks ago.
I keep on saying,
it's not all been plain sailing, is it?
I keep on saying this is the bottom of the barrel. I've been saying this is the bottom of the barrel for about 3 months now. The bottom, we just keep on scraping more of the bottom of the barrel. But if I can, I'm breaking even at the moment. Maybe not because I've had a few expenses last month, but yeah, I am just about breaking even. So my feeling is, if I can break even now, even though I'm not paying any rent or whatever, I should still do well. But walking around, Mark, you've got quite strong feelings. Walking around Pattaya, reading your social media, you're not liking what you're seeing. Just be honest. Just be honest.
I'm not liking. Look, I think what worries me, right, is when you see parts of when you see, if you walk down Walking Street at the moment, right, and you see those businesses boarded up, right, I think actually it was just after we did one of the videos, and we actually saw one of the owners of one of the big go-go's. I don't know.
Sensations.
It was Sensations.
Martin.
And it was Martin, and he was going into his bar, and he was basically, I think he was running the sound system, running the aircon, making sure everything's okay. And we regularly see on social media, Jerry from Lady Love and Sapphire. Yeah. You regularly see them in the go-go bars. They're doing renovation work.
Well, they're two of the best operators.
Yeah, they're two of the best operators. Blah blah blah. Right. Okay. So on Walking Street, when you see all those bars and they're basically boarded up, those businesses are in hibernation. Okay. What's concerning me, and I walked down there again today, is. If you look at where Atlantic, if anyone knows Pattaya, if you look up by Terminal 21, you've got a bar complex just before there.
Yeah,
Soy One.
Walking Street. No, Drinking Street.
You've got Drinking Street, but basically before it, on the other side.
Oh, on the other side, where Atlantic Bar was.
Atlantic Bar and all of that. And what happened, when you walk up there was actually quite a few like massage shops, there was Indian restaurants, there was like a hotel. And I tell you what, I walked past it today, it is derelict. Parts of that town have been smashed to pieces.
Yes.
Right? And there's people sleeping in there and all that. That is kind of concerning me now. And because I think I said it before, there's homeless people sleeping in the beer bar complexes. Yeah. Listen, by the way, that everyone's trying to do what they can. But parts of town are getting smashed to pieces. This is not a good look for Pattaya. This is the 19th visited city on Earth.
14th.
Right?
14th.
Yeah. Right. Okay. 14th, 19th, whatever. But. That's not a good look for Pattaya.
No.
Right? It's not a good look when parts of town, and that's quite prominent, right?
Sure. My opinion on that is that part of Pattaya started just before the worldwide virus to get really, really busy because of the new hotel complexes that went up there, because of Terminal 21. I got an Indian couple coming, a little couple from India, man and wife. Very nice they were, and they came in. This was February or maybe January 2020, and they says, we didn't know about Walking Street. We've had a week's holiday. We're staying in, I think they were staying at Siam.
Yeah.
And they says, well, we didn't even know this existed. We've been around all the bars, all the restaurants, Terminal 21. We never ever went out. And that area was beginning to be really good. And I think the landlords probably saw that, put the rent up, and then obviously all this happened, and then the landlords weren't as good as mine and took it down, and that's what happens when you've got landlords that are just so short-sighted, And what do you think of the what is called, what certainly Nick Dean on NDTV is calling the gold rush towards like Tree Town and Soy Pacao?
Okay, right. So I did a little video on my private Facebook the other day, just looking round on Tree Town. Look. Pattaya has always tried to attract. If rents are low, you've always had a situation where people will invest, right? Yep. In certain areas, and it's not just Tree Town, but you've seen Soy Boomerang and all of that kind of stuff. Now, look, I shouldn't say this. I suppose I don't know whether people. One of the reasons why that area was quite busy, in my opinion, and I'm going to throw this back to you as a bar owner, okay, is when we were allowed to actually open the bars in between the lockdowns, right? Police were going around and closing areas of town at 11 and 12 o'clock. Not in that part of town, right? Now, hence why people knew that they could get a late drink.
This is the first lockdown.
No, I think
between the first and the second.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of people were going to that complex and they were out drinking late at night. Now, whether that, obviously, it's not.
Well, actually, everyone's. From a legal point of view, everyone's got a 1 o'clock licence in this town. Everybody. There's no. People say, it's got a late licence. No, it hasn't. It's got a 1 o'clock licence. Yeah. Everyone has a 1 o'clock licence. But if you're in an entertainment zone, which I think all those bars are, then officially you can open later. It is tolerated by the police as long as you don't get people getting stabbed and having heart attacks like me.
But but do you know what, right? How many times have we seen it, Phil, right? The landlords in a certain complex, okay, they'll do a load of deals, they'll get a load of businesses in there, low rent, right? And then when it comes to, right, you've got your business, it's up and running, it's successful, up go the rents, and you can't afford it anymore.
Which is why always getting a long lease is the answer. These 1 year rolling leases are,
absolutely, because you build up your business and all that. I wonder how many. Okay, let me put it another way, right? You are not going to be able to charge 100 baht a beer down there, right?
Absolutely. It's very price sensitive.
And the reality is, the ins and outs of running a bar. In fact, you've been very good and helpful to a number, not just through your YouTube videos. I think it's important to say this on the podcast as well. I know of several people that have set up businesses here, and you've been more than helpful, which is, in terms of actually pointing them in the right direction. Unfortunately, they all failed though, didn't they? No, I'm just kidding.
It's like Mark. It's like when I used to be a DJ. People used to ask me to do their weddings. Every single wedding I did, they ended up getting divorced.
Well, you've got a good track record with that yourself, haven't you?
But, 19 days.
19 days, absolutely. And people still come in the bar and ask you for a relationship advice. It's fantastic. I love it when they go, I don't know what I'm doing with that. Thinking, what are you asking him for? He got married for 3 weeks. He's just as susceptible to the enemy.
We were together for a lot longer, Mark.
I know, absolutely.
Just legally, it didn't work out.
No, I know.
Yeah, so, I personally, I agree with you. I think those areas are price sensitive. The customers there are price sensitive.
Yeah.
But I don't want to really name bars, but let's just say some bars after this first lockdown, they were doing 44 baht beers, 60 baht beers, and 50 baht beers. All of those bars are now doing absolutely nothing. It never works when people try and.
Well, yeah, because do you know what? We've seen the business model rolled out about 400 times here, right? What you do is you get some bloke, right, who starts a beer bar and goes, bing, I've got a brainwave. I'm going to knock out beer for 50 baht in the hope that all those people are going to buy loads of lady drinks, and then I'll be buying a Ferrari in 2 weeks' time. Right, wrong, right? If you're knocking out beer at that price, you're going to have every single one of the old, what's the best way of putting it? You're going to get the people that are on budgets, aren't you? They're going to be walking in, and they're going to be ruthlessly targeting those bars, as if they were an Exocet missile heading towards them. And as soon as you move that beer price 55, 60 baht, they will never ever drink in your bar again. But I was thinking about something else earlier, actually. Do you? I'll ask this. In a way, okay, with all the bars closed at the moment, right? I remember having a conversation with another one of my friends who's a bar owner. This was about 2 years ago, and I turned around to him and I said, "Oh, you're not very busy, blah blah blah. Do you think maybe 85 or 90 baht a beer in a beer bar is a bit expensive?" And he turned around and said to me, "Do you know what? I don't really care, because I'm not after the expat market. They're not for me. They're just cheap Charlies, really. I don't really want the sort of person that's going to walk in my bar and look at the price for a beer. They're not my market. I just really want tourists in here because they come with buckets full." Well, do you know what? Now you can understand a little bit why some of the expats, right, that are out here have felt almost a little bit let down by some of the bar owners I'll say it, on Walking Street, right? Yeah. I've been out to other countries, and I know that, like, a lot of the bars in Angeles in the Philippines, for example, they do deals for the expats, 50% off drinks and stuff like that. Now, I'm not turning around and saying that everyone should be offering expats discounts just because you're lucky enough to live here or can generate an income or whatever, and blah blah blah. But I can understand, right, why when Walking Street, well, put it this way, Walking Street hasn't survived. They couldn't open, there wasn't enough expats here to fill all the go-go bars, so they didn't bother opening them. But other areas like LK Metro, like Tree Town, did flourish, and all those bars, they want that expat business now.
My answer to that is twofold. First of all, I'd say, what's the price of a lady drink? What's the price of a bar fine? What's the price of a San Miguel Light in LK Metro? It's about the same as Walking Street now. So I think we customers off here in Walking Street is probably at its day, and certainly it needs to, because the rents in LK Metro are going way above what is in Walking at the moment. And secondly, I would say, I think there is a very big, what we would call expats on a budget sort of market, but there is a smaller market, but there definitely is a market of expats that have got money, that don't want to go out and they genuinely don't look at the menu for how much is the beer. And I personally, I don't subscribe to the fact that all expats are cheap. Charlie, look at you.
They're not.
I mean, I don't mind people saying, when you come into the bar, you drink vodka. What vodka do you drink?
But I try and bring my own in when you're not looking. No, Grey Goose. I drink Grey Goose.
You do Grey Goose, which is, a top shelf product.
Yeah.
And you're an expat, so I don't think expats will spend money when they feel they're in a quality environment and in a venue where they feel comfortable and all the boxes are ticked for them. So I don't know. I just.
Listen. The old expat debate is it will go on and on and on.
Yeah.
But I think what you've got to do is you've got to have a good mix of customers to survive out here. And
Sure.
I do think that when some of the bars will open again, I do hope that maybe those people that were so dismissive of some of the expats, I don't want them in here and blah blah blah, maybe actually might try and reach out a little bit more to the expat community.
I honestly think it's going to be with this magical day, when
Freedom Day.
Freedom Day,
yeah. Boris called it?
When the doors open and everyone comes marching in. I honestly think there's going to be a run around to get girls. I really do. I think I'm scared myself. I mean, I've kept the girls going in the bar, and I want to keep them here, but. I think it's all about expectations, Mark. I think it's all about.
But I think people forget, right, that at the end of the day, right, there's a lot of the girls have turned back into the old village girl, haven't they? They've gone back up to the village. They're working up there.
Which is my point. I was talking to a new customer who came in today, lovely guy called Mike. Hello, Mike. He listens. He watches. He liked the first podcast. He says he's going to listen to this one.
Oh, okay.
Mike came in and he's got a girlfriend, and she used to work in one of the beer bars, and now she's got her own little business. And her friend, who is also somebody that I know, she used to work in a bar. She's got her own little business. They're doing beauty. They're opening nail shops. They're opening little coffee shops in Isan and everything. And I think they have seen another side of life, another side of the coin. Now, whether or not they're going to rush back when this magical day when the doors open, I don't know. I sincerely hope so, because it's so important for me as a bar owner that we get it right the first time when customers come back. I don't want customers to come back and look around town and go, oh, this is shit, I don't want to come back here. It's like, we've waited so long, we saved up so much money, but all the bars are closed and there's no girls here. And that is my nightmare scenario, and I really hope that's not like that.
But I don't think some people, because I still get messages from people saying, well, hey, Thailand's open again. Have a walk around Pattaya. Is this fun town at the moment?
No, it's not fun town, but if you... can I put it really bluntly?
No, you're going to go into, it's great here, everyone should come.
I am known as the glass half full person of Walking Street.
You could be optimistic. No, I think... You're not going to turn around and say
what I was going to say, Mark, if you come here looking for a bit of naughty nightlife, let's call it that, you can still get it here in massive amounts. Without the nightlife being open, you can still get
raise eyebrows.
Don't forget we're on Apple. Mark, don't forget we're on Apple Podcasts here.
All right, okay. All right. Well, let me put it this way, right? I don't know anyone that would travel to Disneyland with the rides are closed, and the majority of
the rides are closed. The rides are closed, but Mickey Mouse is still available.
All right, okay. So let's just put it another way, right?
By the way, if anyone from the Disney Corporation is listening, we're only joking.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Okay. Well, let's just turn around and say that most of the really good rides are closed at the moment,
but Mickey Mouse is still available.
But the sideshow,
other cartoon characters as well.
I tell you, you'd be bitterly disappointed if you were. I tell you what, I can tell you straight, right, as somebody that lives here, right. If I was in England right now, and I was planning a trip to Pattaya, I would wait until the bars were open. I
Yeah,
really would,
absolutely.
you know.
Yes.
You know, people that, but, you know, we were talking about this yesterday, actually, about the Phuket sandbox, because a lot of people have turned around and gone, "Ooh, it's a crap idea." That's a great idea, to be able to do your quarantine on an island, and then actually, if there is somebody that you want to come and see, because it's not all about the nightlife. I'm sure there'll be a few people here that want to come and do a tour of Pattaya for all the culture and Sanctuary of Truth. Is Sanctuary of Truth open?
Nong Nooch Gardens.
I'm sure you're about to know.
Nong Nooch Gardens, let me tell you, for over 60s, it's free on a Friday. Did you know that?
Actually, no. Do you know? Can I do an interlude? All right. If anyone is still listening to this, I remember about 7 or 8 years ago, this guy walked into a bar with this girl, and I've known her for years, right? And it was his first day, and he turned around to me and said, like, "Oh, do you know what? I really like her." And I went, "Oh yeah, great." Anyway, she went to the toilet, and I said, "Do you know what she'd really like? Because no one ever takes her anywhere." I said, "Nice trip to Nong Nooch Gardens. She'd love that. Cabbages and condoms." Basically, what I did was I gave him the holiday that she'd just done with another bloke, right? I kid you not, right? I swear to God, after 4 days, right, he turned around and went, "Oh, she loved it." And I was seeing the same pictures and all this kind of stuff, right? And she when he'd gone, she walked into the bar and she grabbed me and she went, "Don't you ever do that to me again."
Did that customer have a nice time?
He married her.
There you go. So he's on a long time.
Yeah, don't ask if it
But it lasted longer than 19 days as well.
I'll tell you what, the old bank account, I said, he took one hell of a battering. He went for a hell of a story.
But he had a good time, Mark. That's, I mean, he could... you know the story about me going to the World Cup, 2010, I thought I was above all this, went to the World Cup, spent literally thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds going there, getting my tickets, flying over, Emirates took me over, getting match tickets to all the games. I mean, it was literally, I think it was about £7,000 or £8,000, and you know me, Mark, I'm not one to spend that sort of money on anything.
That must have absolutely killed you drawing that money out.
Well, I thought I was above it all. I thought I was above all the Pattaya. First day I was in South Africa, some taxi driver says, "Oh, there's this house in Durban where there's all these Thai girls." I spent my whole holiday in the Thai in the Thai warehouse. Let's call it a warehouse, and watched a bit of football. I could have watched it on the TV. It was a complete waste of money.
I've often thought, like, those people that like are actually in relationships back home, and they've convinced their wife that they're going out on a golfing tour over here. If the wife ever checks the golf clubs or anything, do you know what I mean? When they get back,
can I say there's somebody who will probably listen to this podcast, so I'm not going to say who it is.
No.
But me and a golfing friend, we had to make up a tournament. We had to make up a tournament so that this guy could come over and have 2 weeks in Pattaya. He sponsored the whole tournament. I don't think we ever actually played a game of golf, but we just made it all up. So you could say, "Oh, look, this is this tournament. I've got to enter this tournament."
I got one of my best mates in the UK, and his wife, I'm not going to name her, but his wife is brilliant. They got 2 kids, great, blah, 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 blah. When I went over the last time, I went over for dinner, and Craig was, oh no, I just said one of his names. Anyway, he turned around and said so, like, in front of his wife, Mark's been over there a while now. She went, "You were never, ever." It's kind of like, I do get that quite often, actually. But funny enough, actually, one of the best... it was my friend and his wife came over and they brought their kid. They came here, and I brought them in the bar and all that.
What was his name? I forget.
Oh, I don't know whether I should say it or not.
Oh, okay.
But they came over.
No, I was just trying to remember myself.
But, most of the people that come over for the first time, I mean, I took him into a go-go bar, And actually, he said it wasn't as bad as he thought it would be. Because, you've managed some pretty horrendous go-go bars.
Well, I would say hands-on, Mark, hands-on, not horrendous.
I would turn around and say some of the stories that you've got, if anyone's listening, they're certainly not for air. But my God, even I want to go over to some of these people and find out what went wrong in their lives to enjoy things like that. But, listen, look, I don't want to get... I would turn around and say one thing. I've got a friend of mine, he might even be listening, and he's just, 18 months he spent back home over in the UK, and he used to come over here every single year for 6 months of the year.
Right.
The one thing you have got, when those nights draw in England in October, and it's it's getting dark for 4:30, and you're coming home and it's freezing cold and all that kind of stuff. Would I swap a condo overlooking sunset in Pattaya, with 6 months sunshine ahead and probably the bars being open and all that kind of stuff? Oh, absolutely. So I've come full circle. Get yourself on a plane.
If this was the start of the podcast, I would say that's where the live streams come in. But we're not going to talk about live streams this one, because you're going to go off on a rant. I know you are.
I'm not going to go off on a rant, and I do understand why bars do it. I do understand why bars do it. But
let's leave it at that then, shall we?
Yeah,
let's talk about food.
I suppose we can talk about food. We've just had some food, haven't we?
Yeah, Mark is a bit of a culinary expert. He's got.
I wouldn't say
he has got a social media platform where he talks about food a lot, and other people are invited to talk about food. I am really trying. See, you says I've got no passion for food. I'm really trying hard in the bar to get a passion for food.
See, the problem is, Phil, right, with this one, is the fact for the past 4 or 5 years you've told me that you've got no passion for food whatsoever, right? So when you all of a sudden have tried, bear in mind the bars are closed, you can't sell alcohol, to don your pinny and pretend that you're Gordon Ramsay, and you've got signs outside with triple cooked trips and we'll do it the way I want,
which are very nice, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody
says. By the way, if any of the listeners are listening, I can reinforce the fact that you were so passionate about food. Yesterday I said, right, come on, let's do a breakfast, and I walked in and you've forgotten to buy all the ingredients today. Well, so
I bought a loaf of bread.
Oh my God. Anyway,
thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing that. So but the fact that we tried to change things from, like, we couldn't do a bar, but I thought, okay, we'll try and do the restaurant then. And I have. I've got into the menu. We are doing things differently. Yeah. People, some things don't hit the mark. Some things aren't right that we haven't done correctly, and I need to look at again. But I'm learning by my mistakes. I think every restaurateurs, I've got so much time for them now, because they have to learn. They have to learn by their mistakes, and when they make mistakes, people go out to a restaurant. It's still in the UK, and certainly here in Thailand, it's a special thing. It's not a run-of-the-mill thing. You've got to get it right for that customer. It's a special treat in their lives, a lot of them. And when you don't get it right, it's really, really hard. And I feel so sorry for customers. I've given away loads of free food because things aren't quite right. But I'm learning. I'm getting there, and I have got a passion for food right now.
Otherwise you wouldn't be open. Look, here's the deal. Look, I've got the Breakfast Club. I mean, my God, the war is over. The rebels have won. I just let them run riot on the group, to tell you the truth. But one of the things that does strike me is people are very highly critical of certain things on there.
Overly critical. Critiquing a photo.
Yeah, but that's all over the internet. You go look at Rate My Plate and stuff like that, and celebrities have got involved and that. It's not exclusive to Pattaya, right? But one of the things that I do think is exclusive to Pattaya is that people expect Western-style food with Western-style ingredients and Western-style service, but they don't want to pay the price. They then want to revert back to Thai prices. And here's the issue that I think restaurant owners have got, and I can, my girlfriend has obviously, she's running a sort of Chinese style for
very
UK
nice
Western.
It is as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And to actually put good products on a plate out here is not cheap. I mean, look, I'm sure people won't mind. a portion of mushrooms, right, which you would buy in England for pennies, right?
Or go pick them yourself.
Yeah, out here is getting on for £2.50.
Yeah.
Right? People don't, you know, I remember somebody turning around and saying to me, like, about my girlfriend's business. Oh yeah, I know how you make that chicken curry. You can buy the powdered stuff, mix it with water and all that. Well, that's not how we make ours. No. We actually import some of the ingredients, things like five spice and all that. Yeah. We use and we ship stuff over to try and make sure that the
and it's always the little things.
And it's always the little things that people don't. You know, it's absolutely. I mean, I had a beef stew and dumplings the other day in the Sportsman. It was 295 baht. I posted a picture on the group. What did I get from one person? My God, I'd never ever pay that. That's a hangout for the rich expats. It was 300 baht, right? Look, it's not Sportsman's fault that it's 70 baht to the pound. It no longer is there. It's 40 baht to the pound. Their rent has probably gone up. They still have to pay their service staff. You know, you've got to buy the ingredients, you've got to cook it, put it on a plate, blah blah blah. It is what it is.
And the chap at the Sportsman came out with something that you told me a few months ago, and I've never forgotten, about prices. Do you remember what? I can't even. What's the guy's name? The marketing guy at the Sportsman.
Well, you got Darren or Dave?
Darren. He said, I want to make a profit, not a...
Yeah.
What was it? I want to make a profit, not a statement. That's it.
I want to make a profit, not a statement.
And he was saying that to the Retoxes, the 99 baht breakfasts, right? Who really have all really faded away and died. So he's actually right. Yeah,
I mean, I think the Retox. I mean, Retox was one of the big bar groups that went under, but they went under, in my opinion, because they couldn't rent their rooms out. They couldn't show sport late at night.
Yes,
and they were not really a food place. They were a sports bar which did food.
Yeah,
and it's like yourself, Phil. You know, fair play. I know that you are having a go at the food. I know I take the Mickey, but you know, it is very hard to put a product. You know, out here at a good price to make profit, and the reality is, when people turn around, I remember even right up to when Retox closed, I think somebody posted a food review and it went, well, I'll never pay those prices. Okay, well, here's the deal. They didn't survive charging those prices. They were still charging less than probably what they should have done.
Yeah.
A breakfast, we've just priced up a breakfast. Okay.
Yeah.
We won't go into too many details, but. We
were surprised.
It's
all the little bits that add up.
It's all the little bits that add up, right? And even on your margins are 25%, maybe, if you're lucky. 25 or 30%.
And that's a margin on just the food cost against what you sell it for. That doesn't take into consideration the chef, the service girls, the air conditioning, the license, the gas, the electric. None of that. That's just what you make over and above the ingredients.
Yeah.
And when you take all of that, there ain't really a lot left.
There's not really an awful lot less. It's essentially, there's more. Put it there. Okay, I'll tell you what. Without going into prices, I will tell you straight now. Yeah, there's more profit for Phil
in one lady drink
if he buys. Well, if somebody buys one bottle of water, you'll make more than you do on an entire breakfast.
About that.
Yeah. It's that the margins are that slim. But of course, you know, bars that can sell alcohol, can get lady drinks, or you know, have rooms and have other revenue streams.
Yeah.
They're the ones that can do quite well.
I think you're right about the rooms with Retox. It really hurt them. And I know one of our regular, and you know David Burt used to stay there all the time. Nice brilliant guy, and you know he can't stay there anymore. And I have to say again, without going into too many details.
He hasn't left his bag there, has he?
No, he's left it here.
Okay.
There was. The way the company was set up there wasn't brilliant, and I think they probably could have continued if it hadn't been for certain things that went wrong there. Maybe.
Look, what have we always said with partnerships?
Partnerships, battleships.
Partnerships are battleships.
They begin and end with a good lawyer.
Yeah, they do. And
always.
And you know, of all the bars that have gone under, that's the one that I'm probably going to miss the most.
Yeah.
Because for me, that was somewhere that I used to go and watch the football. I used to eat in there 2-3 times a week. I've got a bit of history there as well because my girlfriend, she was one of the first chefs over at Retox, and I always got on very well with Simon and Josh.
Let me just finish the podcast then. On that point, you said that's the bar you're going to miss the most that went under. Yeah. One word: secrets.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think you signed off on the last video with a statement that I do fundamentally disagree with.
Which is?
Well, you turned around and said that you thought that it was nostalgia, that people have great memories of Secrets, and that's why they want it to reopen again. I disagree with that. I think that people liked that format of a bar, and whether it's in that location or another location, I think people liked that kind of bar. Not a go-go, so it wasn't in your face, but a bar where you could go in the afternoon, get a cold beer, listen to some music which wasn't going to blow your head off, watch a few coyotes, bit of sport, good community, all of that type of stuff.
But Secrets, for those people that don't know, it was on Soy 14. It was somewhere that I managed. The legendary Larry managed before me. It was a daytime Coyote bar, nighttime Coyotes, but it all hinged. They had a hotel, they had, at the time, a taxi service, they had a villa, they had a boat, a yacht, sorry, Kevin. It all hinged around the girls. And the girls in 2006, when Secrets was set up, was reasonably cheap. You could build a podium and stick a girl on there reasonably cheap. Now, girls are so expensive. It was the girl. I think it was a lot of factors of a lot of things that went wrong in that bar, right? But I think it's the girls became so expensive. Now, when Ben set that bar up, it was probably the girls are probably on 7,000-8,000 baht a month. Now they're on 1,000 baht a day. That's the difference. That's why Secrets didn't last.
I would also turn around and say that they lost some good management, Phil. Right.
And
I'm not just saying that because you managed there.
But
I would
but Larry's never coming back, Mark.
Do you know what? When people turn around and say Larry's never coming back, I see. I don't know whether he's listening to this, but he probably
certainly will. I hope he is, because he's a great guy.
Because he's a great guy. But look, one of the things that Larry was one of the big reasons why that bar was so successful. He had time for everyone. He's a great guy, great company. And he ordered some Chinese the other day as well, so thanks, Larry. And he put a lovely review of it up. I used to know Larry before, but I still think a bar in that kind of format could do well, and we don't have anything. We don't have anything like it. So
I mean, Papagayo sort of tried it, but
Shooters was close.
Shooters, but it never had the social media side of it.
No,
and I think it was massively based on social media, on at the time web forums, and obviously.
And I think you'd have to mention Ben. I think Ben had a real passion and drive in the early years of Secrets.
Sure,
and that probably faded off. And we did say that a shelf life of a bar can be around about between 5 and 10 years.
That's very and
all that.
Yeah.
But look.
Hold on, I've been here 5 years now, Mark.
I know, but you were. It wasn't your heart you were clutching. It was your ATM card last week. I tell you, the old health scare. But no, listen, a bar does have a shelf life out here.
Yeah,
of 5 to 10 years.
No, actually, Mark, not just out here. I mean, there's a reason why all the big leisure groups in the UK, Luminar Leisure, European Leisure, they always refurb massively. Probably, usually change the name of a bar. The big nightclubs every 5 or so years, because you're right. It just like people go to a club for about 3 or 4 years, and then they get bored and go somewhere else. So then you've got a completely new market. You need to change things, and it's the same with bars.
Well, if you look at the two most successful ones, or the two most successfuls as well, I'd have to say they're run by relatively young lads out here at the moment, right? Lady Love and Sapphire. They've got Jerry in charge, and he's a very, very switched on,
very switched on young lad, absolutely, and with a social media team. With one of the best photographers in the country. Yeah. With Adam, with one of the Yoshi does all the social media during the day. They've got other people on social media. You can't stop that. It's a juggernaut. Yeah,
absolutely. And also, it's not just that. They're very good at getting customers in the bar. They're also very good at keeping customers in the bar, and they've got an incredibly loyal following. And you know what, right? I mean, this is another one. There's bar groups that you can mention, and people will have a certain opinion. I've got to be honest.
I think we're out of time now, Mark. Sorry.
Yeah, no, but what I would say is that they've got a very good reputation in this town, and you know,
sure,
and I hope they open up soon. You know,
absolutely.
I hope all of
everyone.
I hope we can. I hope that, you know what, I hope once everyone's jabbed up, we can all just get on with our lives, because it's been pretty shit for the past couple of years.
Absolutely. So thanks for that, Mark. Are you coming back and do another one sometime? Yeah,
of course, man. Whenever, if anyone still wants to listen to my ramblings, but it's my pleasure. And
not at all. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, and good luck with the Breakfast Club. Obviously,
thank you.
And Pimmy's Chinese.
Oh, yeah, great. Everyone should order some of that.
Unfortunately, my cardiologist just says I can only order the soup, which I did order the other day, by the way.
I know. Actually, no, I would turn around and say that there's a. I'm sure there's a few government doctors, and sweet and sour chicken balls, they're good for you. So, yeah, they're not really. Listen,
Professor
don't worry.
Tawan
stick with the noodle soup, mate.
All right, it's the best. Thank you very much, Mark. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget, give us a like, subscribe to the channel. We've got more podcasts, and we've got more normal videos as well. But for now, for me and Mark.
Okay, thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.